you guys, which is Asquith and Fox, and this is the men's casual trouser, which I'm a big fan of. Actually, I like the color, especially for summer as well. Sort of more sort of the nudes and beige. I'm a very big fan, and khaki. I love all that, you know. So those sort of like almost like safari type colors. Adrian, my reception is bad, and I can't see any video, but I can listen in like a podcast, and I can see the product you're presenting. Oh, well, Adrian, thank you so much for tuning in anyway. I really appreciate it. Whether you can hear me, or see me, whether it's oral or visual, as long as you're here, I always very much appreciate that. So, yeah, thank you very much for joining. Yes, khaki for summer is a fantastic thing. And I think certainly for a lot of men, it's a very smart look, I think. You know, it's kind of with a sort of beige suit trouser look. I mean, I think a lot of men look really good in a good pair of beige trousers. For me, I prefer slightly more. Oh, and we'll get onto this in regards to trouser styles. But for me, I prefer a slightly more loose-fitting beige trouser, especially during the summer months, just because, you know, I think it gives you the ventilation that one needs, because you don't want, you know, slightly sweaty legs. That's never a fine and attractive thing. So actually, this is a good point to start talking about men's trouser leg styles. So, you know, in total, there are a number of different styles. Obviously, before we talked about the pantaloon, which was obviously more of a historical trouser garment, but obviously there are contemporary versions of the pantaloon today, which you can still buy. But I want to talk about sort of the general fit. So obviously you can go for a slightly more tapered leg look, or there's the baggy leg look, sort of more of a relaxed fit, which is what I just talked about a little earlier. Also, there's something like the bootleg cut, which can also be defined as a flare. I have a couple of trousers myself, which, you know, I like to hark back from disco era of the 70s in regards to the flare. And the last one, I suppose, would be, again, sort of more, even a more skinnier tapered cut as well. So obviously there's slightly more regular, and then you've got the skinnier cut as well. So it's really important, again, when you are choosing your trouser, that you make sure that you take your style, that your preference into consideration. And of course, some styles in trouser leg look better on men than others, and I personally believe that men that are slightly shorter in stature are better off not going towards the flare look, because it will potentially make them look shorter, or certainly the skinnier look as well. I just don't think for shorter men that looks generally very flattering on their legs. So, Adrian, I love khaki for summer. Do you have to buy a size up to have a more relaxed fit, or do you need to find a fit that's already tailored to look looser? Adrian, that's an absolutely fantastic question. I believe, well, it works both ways to me, because it really depends, I suppose, what you're going for. For me, the waist is probably the most important thing. So I start at the waist and then work my way down. I guess it really just depends on what the cut is, to be fair. I mean, we're quite fortunate now, especially for menswear, that over the last 15 or so years, that a lot more styles have been introduced to suit different types of men's shape, height, and legs, essentially. I remember when I was in my late teens, and obviously skinny jeans were very much in vogue, but it was still around the time when companies and clothing houses weren't designing really, or it wasn't really widespread in regards to skinny jeans. So I had to buy women's skinny jeans instead, because they were available. So I used to go to Topshop, RIP, the women's section, and then I have to try on a few, although they wouldn't let me try them on in the women's changing room. That was always, which I can understand. I totally agree with that policy. So hopefully maybe that slightly answers your question, but I think really it's really up to the chap. It's really up to the guy. But also the other thing I'd like to talk about, and again, it's totally in relation to that, is that I don't know about some of these trousers that I currently have on display, like the absolute apparel